And welcome to the Watchman from Jerusalem. We've told you many times here on the show how Israel is the first line of defense for the West, and if Israel goes down, folks, we all go down. Whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, Iran, or Al-Qaeda, Israel is literally on the front line, standing in the gap for America and Europe and fighting the good fight. Israel's enemies are America's enemies, and the same radical forces that want to wipe Israel off the map have a bullseye on the back of the United States. That's why our team at Christians United for Israel is so excited this week to bring you a Watchman All-Star panel. We're joined by Israeli Brigadier General Yossi Cooperwasser of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs and Moti Zaken, Strategic Advisor on Minority Affairs for Israel's Ministry of Public Security. Folks, these are two top experts on security issues, and they're able to make sense of all the madness here in the Middle East and what it means for you. So sit back and enjoy our Watchman All-Star panel. Well, Yossi, Moti, thanks for joining us today on the Watchman.
Thank you.
Great to have you here from Jerusalem. Not a bad view behind you, gentlemen. Yossi, I want to start with you. So much going on in the Middle East right now. I don't know where to begin, but how about Iran? We have a new administration in the United States, which so far seems to be taking a much tougher line against that Iranian regime. Do you think we have a new day here in confronting the Iranian threat?
Yeah, sure, we have a new day because the policy of the former administration was to give in and to give the Iranians whatever they want in order to postpone a little bit the day when the Iranians are going to have an arsenal, a big arsenal of nuclear weapons. And from the point of view of the former administration, it was all right for that to allow the Iranians to be an hegemon power in the Middle East and to still keep everything rolling in order to have this arsenal of nuclear weapons in 15 years.
It's interesting, Yossi, you look at it, Sana'a in Yemen, Damascus, Beirut, Baghdad. Iran is literally marching across the region, as you said.
I think that the new administration has three options. And it seems as if he's choosing the second out of them. I'm not sure it's the right option. One option is to just make sure that the Iranians don't cheat and they stick to the agreement to have a better intelligence.
Right.
This is not enough. The second is to contain the Iranians on other issues but the nuclear issue. Ballistic missiles, terrorism, regional hegemony, human rights abuses, all of that. This, of course, should be done, but this again is not enough. The third issue is whether to renegotiate the deal. I think this is a must because this deal was done in order to enable Iran to have a nuclear arsenal in 15 years. We cannot allow that to happen.
Yeah, you're talking about that disastrous Iran nuclear deal, Yossi, just so people at home know.
The president himself spoke about it.
Exactly, yes. And it has been a disaster, and it has only empowered and emboldened the Iranian regime. Ballistic missile tests, more sponsorship of terror around the region and around the world.
So what we see today is that the Iranians are checking the policy of the president and trying to focus the disagreements on the issues that are not the nuclear issues. We stick to the nuclear deal. Yes, we carry out ballistic missiles tests. We do all kinds of terrible things elsewhere. You want to engage with us? Let's engage on those issues just to make sure that you don't touch the deal. And I think that the administration should be very careful to make sure that this deal doesn't go on. As a matter of fact, these first years of the deal are the best time to ask for renegotiation because this is where the Iranians are a little bit weaker. They gave something for having this wonderful deal for them. Yeah. And this is the time when they are not in a position to really bargain. Yeah. It's extremely important because this is going to shape the relations between radical Islam, led by Iran, and the Western societies for ages. So if we don't wake up now, it might be too late.
Yeah, and with possibly, Moti, the missiles to deliver those nuclear weapons one day, Iran working on a medium range, short range, even intercontinental ballistic missiles. Those ICBMs, by the way, are not for Israel. They're for the great Satan, the United States. Moti, you've studied security issues extensively, worked in the Israeli government. Tell us a bit more for an American audience who says, well, Iran is thousands of miles away. It doesn't really affect us. Tell us a little bit more about why Iran is a threat, not just to Israel, but to the entire region and the world.
Well, actually, on top of what Yossi has just said, I think Iran is going to be Yossi mentioned 3 options of Trump administration. I think it's one of the toughest decisions of the new administration, because Iran is really posing a threat not only for Israel, but for its neighbors, for all the Gulf countries, and for the whole region, in fact. And they are making the whole situation much more complicated, just as they did in Syria. So, and we have to note that just last week, Iran celebrated its 38 years of since the Islamic Revolution.
Since revolution,
it's not the
79.
Iranian Revolution; it's the Islamic Revolution. It means that the overwhelming majority of the Iranians don't have any recollections of the previous administration. All they know it's Ayatollah's administration, and they are the small, brief attempt to revolt or of the youth to rebel.
2009, the Green Revolution. 1 million Iranians in the street, Moti.
It was oppressed instantly. So we are talking about a religious, theocratic regime that it's oppressing its own citizens, and it's posing a danger because of its not only the religious sin, but because of its character and because of continuing militarization. It poses a great threat to the Middle East.
To me, it is the issue, gentlemen. The Iran issue is the issue.
It's the issue because it's going to determine the kind of relations the Western world is going to have with the radical Islam world. And Iran is a very powerful leader of the radical Islam world.
The Shia wing, absolutely. Hezbollah, absolutely. Iran's proxy.
They have a full axis following them, and they are leading it from a country that has a real power. It's not ISIS.
ISIS captures the headline, Josie, but Iran is the real power.
Iran is a much bigger threat than ISIS. Sure. And that's why if you show the Iranians that you are ready to protect your values, that you are ready to confront them if necessary, and these are the messages that are coming at this point from the administration, then you say to the radical Islam in general, listen, this dream you had about changing the world order is not going to materialize. We are here defending our world order, we are defending our values, we are determined to do that, we are ready to pay a price if necessary, we don't wish to pay a price, but we are ready to do that if necessary. This is not the message they were getting from the Western world in the last 8 years.
It was a message of appeasement, of billions of dollars in sanctions relief, gentlemen, ransom payments, exactly the wrong message. Iran took full advantage. I look at Syria right now as well. Iran, major footprint there, along with Hezbollah. Could you guys talk a bit about the situation, the chaos on Israel's northern border in Syria right now? On the Golan, Iran and Hezbollah trying to gain a foothold. This is dangerous stuff, and it affects America as well.
This is very dangerous for everybody, especially for Israel, because we are on the border. But it's dangerous for everyone because Syria will turn into a base from which the Iranians will exert power and hegemony over the entire Middle East, and maybe far from beyond the Middle East. That's what they plan. And this possibility that they will have a contiguous axis, starting in Iran and ending in the Mediterranean with Hezbollah, is something that we all should be extremely worried about. And this has to stop. From an Israeli point of view, of course, it's very worrisome to see Iranians deployed with Hezbollah in the Golan Heights. That's we are already trying to prevent that from happening. And also we are concerned with the fact that the Iranians are using this axis in order to deliver weapons of the highest state of the art to the hands of Hezbollah.
Yeah, I was going to ask Moti about Hezbollah. And I'm glad you mentioned Russia, by the way. Talk about a major wild card, a nuclear powerhouse in Syria as well. Moti, we have about a minute left before the break. I wanted to ask you about Hezbollah. Look, maybe over 100,000 rockets and missiles aimed at every inch of Israel from their southern Lebanon base. Can you talk a bit about that Hezbollah threat and how serious it has become for Israel?
Hezbollah has really, on the ground, they really changed the balance in Syria. And if just to mention, our former Prime Minister, Ehud Barak, several years ago, he thought that within weeks, the Syrian regime is going to collapse. in the wake of the Arab Springs.
Right.
I'm not saying it to mock him, but just to say that it's very hard to predict. The fact that Syria was held by the Hezbollah and on the ground, and then also Iran and Hezbollah are connected.
Coming in, propping Assad up.
Yes, and the lack of leadership of the American administration helped also.
Created a vacuum, gentlemen. And today, Yossi, we have to leave it right there. Hold that thought. We'll come back after the break. You know, gentlemen, expect the unexpected in today's Middle East. But that's why we're so lucky today, folks, to have two of the world's top national security experts, Yossi Cooper-Wasser, Moti Zaken. Coming up after the break, much more Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, the Palestinian issue, much more coming up with these two great experts. It's the Watchman, it's Christians United for Israel, only right here on TBN. Don't move.